Hi traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I hope everybody's having a great trading session and happy Tuesday. Yeah, it's been one of those. God, it was just been a slow moving market the last couple of days, and I was a little happier overnight. We had the Aussie New Zealand that was well above 104. We've seen a little bit of a pullback as the Kiwi dollar has bounced back the last couple of days, and we've seen also the dollar pull back from the move that we had on Friday. So if you let's go over here. Uh, if you take a look at the dollar index, the dollar index had a nice hammer bottom on Friday, and we've seen a little bit of pullback since then. Not a lot of movement in the dollar, but just a little bit of pulling back. I think one of the bigger disappointments for me was the dollar yen. The dollar yen, I actually had a long on the dollar yen at like 103. I think it was like 103.40, and I got stopped out for break even on Sunday. I was bummed because it was actually a really nice gain. It was looking pretty solid, and then obviously gave that back. We were talking a little bit about gold. Gold's made a bounce back from the really key breakout point here at 1305. We're coming up to some resistance in gold, so just keep that in mind as gold's making a move up, and the dollar's been a little weaker as gold's made a bit of a rally. But as gold finds some resistance up here, I think probably here within the next 10 points or so, $10, it's probably gonna give the dollar a little bit of lift. So I don't know if you really want to chase the dollar lower at this point, but let's take a look at the charts, and we'll start with the euro dollar, and let's get up the bias chart too. And just get that right now. Excuse me one second. Okay, and let's go with the euro. All right, so here's the euro, and the euro's been like I said, the dollar's been pulling back a little bit, so we've got the euro bouncing. The euro though hasn't had much of a bounce. I mean, if you look at where we're capped here, I guess I'm going to delete a couple of things. Let's get rid of that. We're going to keep that. We're gonna keep everything that you see here. But if you can take this support here and go, okay, well, I know really key support comes in at 111, 111.10, 111.20. Okay, we've been as low as 111.20 here. Really, this support has all been very, in my opinion, very critical. So I mean, this is easy, right? 111, and I can go as low as 111.10 is really key support because that's the 618, and we talked about that last week. Like, okay, even if we get a break below horizontal support, even if it takes us down to 111.10, there's still a lot of support down there, so you don't want to get overly aggressive to the downside, even if we break through what looks like horizontal support. Now, resistance on Friday, you can see how we pushed right up to the previous support, okay, which is acting as current resistance. We went as high as almost the 618 right there, and the high print was 112.50. So 112.50 is going to be resistance on the way back up. Now, the question is, do you short the euro while it's sitting here at 111.60, or do you wait for it to drift back up towards, maybe above 112 before you start looking at it on the short side? I don't know if there's much to do right here. I mean, if you're looking for something to do with the euro, this has been my skepticism with the euro this morning. Just looking at it, it's like, okay, well, I'd rather be a seller up here if I can get it, and of course, if the euro will dip down to support, that'd probably be a better area to buy it. But we just haven't had a lot of movement in the euro. The movement's been elsewhere. It's been in the Aussie and the Kiwi, in the Canadian, even in some of the Nordic currencies. We just haven't seen a lot of movement in the euro dollar. So a move back up to 112, we could probably say that previous support was, we can just say 112.50. That's where resistance is. And I just don't know if there's a lot to do with the euro right at this moment in time. I'm just going to keep it, I'm going to put it at range. even though, you know, we're bearish while we're below this yellow line. It's just really more of a range bound right now, and I think being short up here makes sense. And I don't even know if I'd want to go long on a dip to here, but I think that should be decent support for those of you that are looking for longs. You might want to pick it up down there. That might make a better, you know, better support. All right, let's take a look at the pound. So here's the pound dollar. Now the pound's continuing to squeeze higher here, and I'll tell you, I'm not trading the cable right now, but the cable looks like we want to push higher, and really the critical resistance is this one right here, and I'm actually going to make it a different color. All right, that's where really key resistance is coming into play, and you can see this support right through here. That's holding, which means that this is here. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. This is where we're boxed in right here. The cable now, if you want a better trade, in my opinion, is if you want to play it to the short side, you do it up here at 135, right? Okay. Or the flip side is if you break back below here, we're going to see a breakdown. One of the things that, you know, makes me a little nervous about the dollar is you see the pound that looks like it wants to squeeze. So a move above 133.75 would be a pretty big breakout. Okay, that's major. A break below 132, I'm going to write down 132.75, will mean to me that the bulls have you know, just kind of given up here. All right. Now, I put bearish because you guys know, and I hate to beat a dead horse here. As long as we're below 135, it's bearish. That doesn't mean we can't get a squeeze up to 135. Matter of fact, let me try one last thing. I want to do something really quick. Let's take, actually, let me delete that for right now, just so I can get a good read on it. Post pre-Brexit high. I remember I was on a plane right there. I was still on a plane right to here. Still, it's crazy. Why, Blake? Why do you go to Kauai? Why do you go to Hawaii right during a Brexit vote? Stupid. All right, anyway. In the event we can make it past 135, then you got 136.40. That's the 38% retracement. But anyway, we have to get a squeeze above this 133.75 to continue higher here. All right. Again, I'm not sure what to do with the cable at this point. It might squeeze a little bit, and if it continues to squeeze through here, I think, like, you know, being long the pound New Zealand, you know, or being short the euro pound, that might be the trade to go with, you know, versus being long the pound dollar. I'm a little nervous with the dollar. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Where am I at? Pound. Let's go over a Swissy. All right, here's the Swissy. The Swishy. So, frankly, I'm looking for a place to buy the Swissy. I really am. Now, if you remember our analysis from Friday, it was this. We were looking for, you know, NFP to push us above here or below here. Now, we spiked below but we couldn't hold. Couldn't get a close down there. I mean, I'm surprised how strong the dollar buying came in on uh, on Friday. I was really impressed. I was like, wow. Um, did not expect that. Yeah, I picked up some dollars, made some money, but it was like, you know, wow. Anyway, you see the spike lower. Now, let me take this fib here from the lows. That was a 38% retracement that we held. That, to me, really signals the importance of that support, okay, which is 97.40. Now, the flip side to that is if we can break above 98. Let me get rid of this for a second. I don't need that. Okay. 98.20. All right. And frankly, I just wouldn't mind being long the Swissy. Not right at this moment, though. I'd rather see it dip down here. I keep missing my opportunities, and every time I have my opportunity, I get out early like a pansy. So 97.40 is support. And then resistance is 98.20. We're in a range. 98.20 is right here. All right. And remember, this, if you guys have missed this, this is huge. This channel that we're in, it's huge. And that's why if we ever break above 99 cents, you just have to pretty much be long the Swissy and not even, for me, it's going to be like get long and stay long type of thing. All right. Where am I at now? Okay, so let's go over to the yen. So I picked up the yen on Friday. Had a good, I got a damn good price too. And I got stopped out. So on Sunday or whatever, I was bummed. I had a good price. And what I'm most bummed out about is I thought this was I thought that we were gonna, I know we closed, in my opinion, we closed back below 104, and that made me a little nervous. And then, so I wasn't really totally surprised when I got stopped out on Sunday. But it's like I was really hoping that we were going to get a foothold above 104, because I was going to play every yen pair to the long side, like, you know, not only dollar yen, euro yen, pound yen. I don't know if I would have traded the Kiwi yen or the Aussie yen, but Canadian yen. Sorry, I was just thinking about buying like all sorts of yen pairs on a break above. You know, what if we held and we broke out above 104 and we were, you know, trading up at 105 on Monday or today, I'd have just been ditching yen all over the place and trying to buy it. The fact of the matter is we failed up here, okay, which also then means, in my view, here, let's get rid of this for a second. We don't need that. Which means that this is very significant, and I'm gonna put preferences, yellow, super thick, dotted, dashed. That didn't look so cool. Let's see here. This is going to be really significant resistance now. Very significant. All right. For future knowledge. I mean, and frankly, I don't know if we're going to break above it. I mean, from a risk reward perspective, it makes more sense being short the dollar yen right now. You know, we got this little head and shoulder pattern developing right there. Well, it makes more sense to be short the dollar yen at this moment. It does. I'm not saying that I'm going to, but I'm just saying that it does make more sense because if you short it here, your risk is above 104.40 or whatever the highs are here. Again, I am I'm not sure what to do with it, but what I'm pretty confident of is this. If we break back below here, it's going to go right back to being extremely bearish, which is 102. What is the spike low following that? 102.80. So I'm going to write down 102.80 is major. 102.80. That's major support. Okay. Resistance is at 104.40. That's major resistance. Make sure that's the high price. 104.30. Sorry, 104.30. And what we do with it right now, I'm not sure. Okay. I'm going to put it on range, and I think we're going to know within, we're going to know within probably the next 48 hours or so if we're doing this. Right? Or we're doing this. And I don't have the answer to that question. Okay? I don't really have the answer to that question. I don't know which way we're going to go. I don't know what I want to do with the yen. I know that I'm, irritated that I got stopped out of my trade that I, on Friday. But I'm not like in revenge trade mode where I'm just like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to short the dollar yen right now because it should be going down. I don't know how to play it. I'm pretty clear on our breakout points, but I don't know what to do with it right now. And just so I know I say this every once in a while, and you guys should probably hear it again. You should hear it as often as I can say it. It's okay not to know what to do, and I'm totally fine with it. Like, I'm totally fine sitting here looking at the dollar yen and saying, okay, well, if it gets above here, I'm buying it. If it gets below here, I'm selling it. But right now, I just don't know. And I don't know. All right. Let's see. Let's go over to the Canadian. All right, I picked up the Canadian a little lower at 128.90. Just so you all know, we were divergent on the hourly RSI. We were moving lower. RSI wasn't. We're still basically at the 618 here, as far as I'm concerned. And it was dipping lower and relative strength wasn't. I'm just like, I'm looking at crude, the crude rally on yesterday, on Monday. That rally in crude stopped out a lot of people, I bet. This move here, that move there stopped out a lot of people, right? Stopped out a whole truckload of shorts, which is great because then that opens up the potential for downside. So for me, I was like, well, I can buy the dollar Canadian because if crude just pushes back down again, then the dollar Canadian will spike back up. So I've been looking for a place to buy the dollar Canadian. I'm surprised how weak it's been, and I'm thinking, yeah, all right, if we can hold this 618, really, if we can just hold here, get back above 129 and hold it, I think it can play right back to the upside. So I've been currently looking for longs, so I picked it up today. Just small size, not like anything enormous, but I figure, well, I want to start building my long position here if possible. So support will be at today's lows, because if we break through that, we should, make our way back down to, lower 128s. All right, so the lows here are, I'll just write 128.85. Now, resistance, aside from being futile, resistance is, I don't know. It's hard to say where resistance is at. David said a lot of data coming out of Canada this week. Yeah, I mean, we got the BOC this week, right? And it's the Bank of Canada. We have the jobs report, obviously, on Friday. But yeah, BOC is on Wednesday morning. So yeah, if I can get positioned really good ahead of the BOC, like for example, if I can get a long down here and by the time Wednesday rolls around, we're trading back at 130, I'll hold it. I'll hold the dollar Canadian on the long side. Hopefully the BOC is just, very dovish. As Canadian data has been looking kind of weak recently. If that's the case, then we're trading back up here at 132. Then I'm in really good shape. So that's why I don't, I won't buy the dollar Canadian at 9:30 in the morning on Wednesday ahead of the BOC that's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to do that. But if I can pick it up on Monday and, be up 50, 70, 80, 120 pips going into the Bank of Canada, then you're talking about my type of trade, because then you have, a lot of runway in case the thing really wants to rally. So that's the way I look at it. You got to think ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Know what I mean, Jelly Bean? All right. I really don't know where resistance is today. I guess it's right here. I'm just going to just throwing darts at this point. 129.50, I guess. It's not great resistance, but those hourly spikes up there should give us some issues on the way back up. So 29.50. All right, kids. It's been reals. We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Happy Monday, Tuesday, happy Tuesday. Sorry. Be right back. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You were listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I hope everybody is having a great trading session, and happy Tuesday to you. Good news is we don't have any data coming out in about 27 minutes at the next break. Usually, around 8:30 we have something happening, but nothing today. All right, let's continue on. We're going to go over to the Kiwi. All right, so here's the Kiwi. So the Kiwi found some resistance right at trendline resistance. Actually, let's get rid of this really quick. Let me remove that. Let me remove this. The flag never played out. I don't know where that was from, but this trend line, see it right here, that pretty much looks like it's capping prices. Okay. Let's zoom this way. And yeah, now, even if we go through something like that, yeah, it looks like a really great short up here. I do have a short Kiwi on. I shorted it on Sunday night, Monday. Sunday, I short like my cost average is 73.15. So I mean I'm short. I'm out of the money a little bit, but you know I have been short literally since like Sunday night. I think maybe it was Monday. Yeah, Sunday night. I believe it was Sunday night. Anyway, um, and I don't mind being on the short side. You guys know I don't. I just really don't mind being short the Kiwi up here. You know, as I believe we're in a upward sloping channel. Here, let's do this. Sometimes these lines don't, you know, after you shut it down, it doesn't, they don't transfer over perfectly, so I have to redraw them slightly. Okay, let's get rid of that. Scrape that and duplicate that, and it looks like so. So anyway, so there's your Kiwi, and this is a daily chart. You know, we're just kind of sliding up the upper sloping channel, if you will. So like I said, I just don't mind being short up at these prices. I really don't. All right, now to me, resistance is probably going to be really key right here at 73.60. We could make our way up there too. I think that's going to be a key resistance. Support. You know, I guess this is really where support is right through here. That was resistance, breakout point, come back down, test support. That's going to be at 72.95. So 72.95 will be support. Okay. We break through that, that's going to open up some downside. We are in the range. We're just near the upper end of our range. Let's go over to the Aussie. So the Aussie, now the Aussie's higher because a lot of people are blaming the RBA for not, not referencing how strong their currency has been, and not putting out any rhetoric, which I'm sure is assisting it higher. Whoops. If we can get just a move, maybe about another 50, 60 pips higher would be great. I just don't know I don't know how possible that is. Let's see, high to low. See, we just hit the 618. 76.50 is resistance. That's resistance. Oops. Yeah, I mean, if we can get a move up to 77 cents, that ultimately this would be the best place to be short, right there. 76.90. That's the best place to be short. I just don't know if we're going to make it all the way up there. All right, let's go over to the hourly here. No. So this should offer support today at 76. Okay, if we break back below 76, that's going to open up some downside. All right, let's take a look at the dollar index. So here's the dollar index. Now, the dollar index had a great hammer on Friday. No follow through to the upside. Not saying that we won't have any follow through. I'm just saying there was no follow through going into Sunday, Monday, and this morning. Okay. Now, let me see something here. Okay, so that's the 618. That makes it that, and we've written that down like I don't know how many times, but I'll write that down again. 96.25 is resistance. And that's a major resistance. It's a 618. We have not been able to scale it even following Friday. Support looks like 95.10. And I really don't. I think you gotta let the dollar. You gotta let the dollar figure out what it's going to do rather than making an assumption what it's going to do. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the peso. So here's the peso. Now I may keep it like this, and the reason why is because we might this spike we might just be passing through here. I don't know. The flip side to that is that maybe this is very important, which makes this area very important too. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to write down 1844. Resistance will be 1865, and I don't know what if there's much to do with it, with the peso right at this point. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the Norwegian krona. So the Norwegian krona. Now remember, we wrote down 826. Remember, we took this and we 826. But look at how important this is. This whole area is very important. Like, let me delete that really fast. See, this whole area is pretty important. Frankly, it looks like a really good place to be on the long side of the Norwegian krona. So, and I'm not long yet. I'm thinking about it though. 824, pretty key support, and then resistance will be back up here at 830. It's right there. We're in a range. Take the Swedish krona. I think we're just boxed in between here. So this is 850 to 860, and I don't think there's much to do here. All right, guys. So I'm going to have to put you on hold for just a few minutes. When I come back, we'll have a lot of extra time to answer questions. So stand by. I'll be back in just a few.